For those of you who don't know me, I'm Emily from GoWP. Welcome to today's webinar with Vito Peleg on managing client requests efficiently and effectively. Really quick, before we dive into that, I just want to say a couple words about GoWP for those of you who may not be familiar. We'll just get that out of the way now. So at GoWP, we are a team that is devoted to helping agencies grow by providing exceptional outsourced WordPress services. If you're in the Niche Agency Owners Facebook group, you know that that's really what we do. We're here to help agencies. Agencies that partner with GoWP are able to focus on the low-touch, high-value work that helps them grow because they can depend on GoWP to take care of the high-touch, low-value work that disrupts their day. The kinds of things like website maintenance, never-ending content edit requests, which we're going to be talking about that today. That are coming in from clients all the time. We help manage that and make that manageable for you and make it so that you're able to grow and scale. On top of that, we are launching a new service. We have launched it actually. It's called Page Builds, and it's to help agency owners that are struggling to get their build outs done on time and within budget. With GoWP Page Builds, you get a dedicated WordPress developer ready to build your page designs. You're guaranteed a minimum of 2 hours dev time a day. You get daily progress reports, so you always know what's going on, at what state your build out is, and you're able to give feedback during all of that. And you have an account manager that helps you manage the dev and your project as well. So that helps make sure specifications are being followed and everything's being done to your liking. And we even work in your project management tools. So that's really great. For more information on GoWP Page Builds, you can check it out at gowp.com/page-builds. If you have any questions about any of this, about partnering with GoWP, how we can help your agency, how we can help you make sense of numbers so that you're able to kind of outsource a service and start focusing on the important stuff like growing your agency, feel free to reach out in the Facebook group. You can email me, emily@gowp.com. Or check out our website and you can schedule a call with one of us just straight from the website as well. You've heard me mention this already, so I wanted to tell you a little bit about the Facebook group, GoWP Niche Agency Owners. So a lot of you, most of you are probably already in that group. If not, I would love to have you join us. It's a community of agency professionals who either already serve a niche market or would like to niche down. And if you're in the Zoom webinar right now, we are also live streaming that over in the Facebook group. The recording will be available there immediately after this, and it's always there for you. So I would love it if you go check that out. So once again, that's the Niche Agency Owners Facebook group. Okay, so a few notes regarding the webinar. I will be watching the chat both here in Zoom and over in Facebook. So wherever you're watching it, I'll be paying attention to you and ready to take questions to get those over to Vito. So use the chat and I'll be watching. So that's perfect. And we already see that it's working. Got some chats over in Facebook too. Hey Todd, hey Tom, Kaylin. So great. And Vito's a star pro, seasoned pro at this, and he's already in all the chats as well. Way to go, Vito. Okay, so let's get to why we're here today. Vito. Vito is a great friend of GoWP, and he has joined us for our Friday happiness hours in the Facebook group quite a few times already, so some of you may already know him. A lot of you probably already know him. So Vito is a musician turned WordPress business owner. After touring the world, he started building his own business using his rediscovered passion for the web and WordPress in particular. As his agency began to grow, he realized the recurring issue of juggling multiple projects at a time with the reliance on clients to get you what you need. And that would always result in projects that were taking far too long and just not being productive. And that is how WP Feedback was born. So Vito, hey, welcome.
Well, it's good to be here. And yeah, nice intro. You pretty much summed my entire presentation right now.
Okay.
No, I'm kidding.
There's nothing left. You guys we can all go home.
Loads of
yeah,
awesome
so if you want to tell us
cover.
a little bit more about WP Feedback or yourself, or just dive right into the presentation, whatever.
Yeah, so that's gonna kind of happen naturally as I walk through through these steps. So I'll probably let's just talk about what's gonna happen on this presentation. And let me just pull this up here so I have everything ready. And where are we on Zoom? There it is. So let me share my screen, Emily, and I'll just start with that. Okay, cool. I think it's working.
Perfect, looks good.
Okay, awesome. So today we're going to cover, apart from my journey, which I'll dedicate like just 1 minute to tell people about myself and how I came about to actually talking about these kind of things. What we're going to try and cover or uncover is what is the proper way to communicate with clients at scale, and what is causing all of these problems, that exactly what you described, Emily, over there, just around trying to get that information from them, and why is there any resistance, thinking that we're both on the, working towards the same goal. Why does it seem like we're in opposite sides of the coin sometimes, and how can we handle that as web designers and agency owners? So we're going to start by talking about the underlying problem behind poor communication. Then we're going to see what is the right process and how we can build the right process within our own business. And I'm going to introduce you to a concept that I love, which is called eating your clients' complications. It's something that I've been leading within my company, as well as within WP Feedback right now, but also within my own agency before that, even within the band. It's really fascinating, this concept. As well as guarding your communication channels, which is a huge problem that a lot of agencies are making when it comes to managing clients at scale. I think that you guys are, with your new offering, Emily, you guys might run into this problem as well. Offering to jump into people's project management systems and managing different channels. So that might be an interesting point for you guys as well as how we can save a full day every month on doing those annoying things, exactly like what Emily was talking about. GoWP takes a lot of the hassle on the maintenance and the technical aspect of going and updating plugins, checking in all of these compatibility and plugin conflicts and all that kind of stuff for you guys. But then there's also the management of the client during the build, as well as after maintaining it and asking and managing that communications when it comes to doing small bits and pieces after the build. And so there's loads of places where we can chip away from that process to basically save us loads of time. And we ended up seeing that it's at least a full day a month if you're applying these strategies properly. Right, but also I'm going to be talking about the biggest mistake that most freelancers and agencies are making when it comes to managing clients, especially at scale, and how you can gather content, approve designs, and provide support without the client breathing down your neck or disappearing for months on end. These are the two sides of this equation. And the one solution that will help you systemize your work, reduce back and forth to zero, and get your clients to love working with you and coming back for more. So before we dive into all of these goodness here, let's tell you a little bit about myself. So I am Vito, I'm the founder of WP Feedback, and I'm also the founder of Ace Digital London, which was my agency before we pivoted to this product. And I actually, as Emily stated, I started my journey as a musician. I wanted to be a rock star, and I was a lead singer in a rock band, as well as managing the band and trying to help us make it, if you will. So a lot of these things, and this basically started my business journey even back then. Even though there's no money in the music business, my mindset and the way that I look at things and how I can scale any process already started through that stage. But since there was no money in it, I started building websites from the back of the van, and we can see that right here. Within the first year after the band kind of split, once we turned 30 and it wasn't cool to live in a van with 4 smelly guys anymore, I pivoted to just building websites, very much loving the process of the creative part of the process, but hating the communications aspect of it and managing those clients that require things that in most cases to us, we know that they are illogical, but to them, it seems like this is the way things should be done. So that's when I started thinking about this, especially as I was on the road at the beginning. Once the band finished, I took this on properly. Within the first year, we got to 6 figures in revenue here in the UK. After 3 years, I already had a team of 12 guys and mid 6 figures in revenue in British pounds. And through that process and growing pretty fast to a team of 12, delivering more than 500 projects over a course of 3 years, we had to systemize to the extreme. And that's how WP Feedback was born. We created it initially for ourselves, but then I figured it worked so awesome, and we saw that we're basically reducing 30% of our project completion time. So we decided to bring this to market. And that's what it's been my focus over this past year, growing WP Feedback and making sure that we help as many agencies as freelancers systemize their work and work with clients happily, essentially. Now, a year in, we are just about to hit the 10,000 websites on our solution. We have 9,400 as of this week. And we're going to hit 10,000 probably next week. And yeah, a team of 9 guys already in this. So this is already another example of proper systemization, enabled for us to actually deliver and manage more than 10,000 websites within a span of a year from starting the business. Right. So now, through this entire journey, it seems that over time, our community has lost its focus on how to efficiently get our clients to do what we need. And that results in this kind of process, in a never-ending game of cat and mouse that way too often creeps into our dreams at night and just really creates that little lump in our stomach whenever we need to manage projects that spiral out of control. Countless email threads, multiple platforms, massive spreadsheets, and endless follow-ups. This is the day-to-day, and it's causing us to waste loads of time on the most meaningless tasks instead of focusing on the creative part of our job. And this is something, Emily, that I think that we have in common. I think this slide specifically, because we're both focused on the fact that our target audience or our customers just waste a lot of time every single day without even realizing it. And we're both trying to solve that problem from different angles, from completing angles, I would say.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's that whole concept of opportunity cost, right? So bringing that realization to and figuring out how we can help out with all of that. But yeah,
exactly.
Hit the nail on the head there. Yeah.
Exactly. And so out of this process of us dealing with all of this nonsense task, it got to a point where dealing with clients is already one of the biggest reasons why freelancers and agencies are falling out of love with their business. And I'm here to tell you guys that only freelancers and agencies with a structured system for managing clients can say, when I start a project, I know exactly when it's going to end and when it's going to go out and launch. And that doesn't mean within the span of a week or within probably next month or something like that. You have a day and that's when it happens. And the only way to do this is to properly manage your clients, because in most cases you will find, and I'm sure that you guys know, they are the ones that are delaying the project. So in order for us to understand what we need to do here, we need to understand about the people that are actually going through this process, which is us, and as web designers or developers, and our clients, and the fact that there is a massive reality difference between the two of us. So as techies, when we look at a website, we often overcomplicate things, forgetting that the client's reality and mindset is completely different to ours. And essentially, when we look at a website compared to when they look at a website, this is kind of a nice representation of that. Because when I see a website and I don't see the website, I see the color scheme, I see the layouts, I see the flows, the user flows, I see the call to actions on that website, and I see I see through it, I see the matrix within that website. And while a client, when they're looking at it, all they see is a rectangular box with some colors and text on it, in most cases. Now, of course, I might be exaggerating because some clients are technically savvy and have been doing this for a long time, sometimes even longer than us. But my kind of a mindset around this is that if we fix the process for the most unsavvy person, or that 75-year-old who's building a website for the first time, or those people that are tradesmen that are used to just walking around, working from their phone. They're not used to sitting in front of a computer like we do. So if we fix it for these guys, then it's going to be smooth sailing for everyone else. And that was the beginning of this thing. So now that we understand who we're dealing with, and let's understand what is the right process. And to do that, I want to show you our process from within the agency and how we deliver the websites at scale. And I try to keep it as simple as possible so that everyone can actually communicate and work around this framework. So obviously, once the proposal is signed and we got paid for the initial deposit, that's when we did the discovery process. Then we had the architecture, the wireframe or the prototype. We like doing prototypes more than wireframes, which means that we were building inside the browsers as soon as it was possible. And then you have the proper design of this thing. And finally, we have the launch where we get into the support and the care plan down here. Now, this process is pretty standard, but what is happening here, you never see. And these are the client touch points. And it was very important for me that when we do the discovery process, we understand that this step comes along with a client touch point, which means that it could either go very well or it could spiral just because of this touch point. So if we don't communicate that step properly to the client or get the information from there, we can't proceed with the other steps of the project. So that's why it was very important for me to point these things out for me, for my team, and now hopefully for you guys to clarify that we need to place attention on each one of these client touch points when they come. Now, that brings me to this kind of the natural communication flow. So again, some of these things might seem pretty basic. And the reason why I'm going through this is to illustrate the fact that we want to bring things down to the bare minimum, to the most basic processes that there are, because in most cases we overcomplicate things, which we talked about before, sending them to an email, then sending them to Jira, then sending them to Teamwork, then sending them to Asana, then they do these things on InVision, and then we send them a spreadsheet with color-coded stuff. So we overcomplicate it. So I'm trying to bring it down to the most basic aspect of this so we can understand the essence of communication. So the essence of communication is a game of catch. We throw a particle over and the other side receives it, if they can receive it. If they can, they will send it back to us properly. And that's the flow from us to them and back. But in most cases, this is reality. And this is what we call developed traffic. So when we send a request to the client and it wasn't properly sent out from our side, we started the problem, and then it starts spiraling because the client didn't really understand what we're talking about. So he sent us a message back, and then in order for us to debug that situation, we got to keep that communication going and start extracting information one word at a time sometimes, rather than just getting to the point from the beginning, getting everything that we need so that we can take care of this process with in the most efficient way. Now, something that we don't realize is that each step like that, within a span of a project, it doesn't need to take a full day to send that email out, or to read the email that the client has sent us back. But the time between each communication is what's enlarging this communication cycle and makes it prolongs it from being like a straight up process of I'm sending a message and within a couple of hours I'm going to get all the information that I need and work on it. This is another day. And then until the client sees my message back, that's another day added to the project, and another day added to the project, and another day added to the project. And then you multiply this by all of these different touch points that are happening within each project. Then you see why a project that is meant to end in 2 weeks then ends up in 3, 4, 5 weeks. We even had one client that took literally a full year to deliver the about page, just because then I realized when I kind of looked at it, what really broke down there, she didn't know what to do. And why would she? Why would I even expect her to know how to do that? So I threw the ball in the wrong direction and I caused this. You know, and that was this frustration that we're all feeling when a communication breaks, because again, it's just a game of catch. So when we throw the ball to someone that can't catch it, or we didn't throw it properly for them to catch it, then they get pissed off. And you can see this guy is confused, he's in terror, you know, it's just because he couldn't catch the ball and he's looking around trying to catch to look for it. Now the process that we really want, yeah, go on, Emily.
I was going to say, I specifically like this gift because it's, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's the University of Michigan who is my team's rival. So I really appreciate it.
Yeah, maybe, you know, I'm not that big on football. That's more of my niche, you know. So that's an example of how it should be done. So you see that this guy has so much confidence grabbing or catching this cup, chugging it and throwing it away. There's no thought in this process. There's no developed traffic. Everything is happening in sync and as it should be. It's perfect. And that's the kind of experience that we want to try and create for our customers as we're delivering projects. That when we have a question for them and we ask that question, we also give them all of the tools to actually reply back to us efficiently. And also, when we need information from them, we need to provide them the tools and the knowledge to give us the information back to us in the most efficient way so we can catch it, chug it, and toss it, right? Now, when it comes to actually approving designs and providing support as well as gathering content, this is what we usually see. We see long and detailed Word documents that over-explain every little thing that needs to be done. Probably seen this, Emily, you know, when you have like trying to explain, ask for content for a website, then you would say, he would send an empty Word document with just like lines or what's going to happen on the homepage, no visual representation, no kind of reference to what we're talking about. But all the client is seeing is a very daunting 40-page Word document with spaces on each one that they need to go through, which they're not going to go through. Or we see fragmented emails with screenshots and attachments for every single request without anything that actually binds them together. Things get lost, things fall between the cracks. Or we have the approach of sending elaborate color-coded spreadsheets with hundreds of rows for every little line or every little request. Again, no visual representation in there, or if so, it's links that you've needed to generate and send, and it's a whole mess. Or finally, we have multiple platforms and additional logins. So we're sending our clients to log into Asana, for example, and then we send them to log into InVision, and then we send them to log into whatever, you know, every time we send them logins for more and more tools. And again, forgetting that the project is usually between 4 to 7 weeks long. And it's insane that we're sending them to 4, 5, 6, sometimes even 6 different platforms to register and log into in different stages of this just 6-week span, changing their system 6 times over the span of 6 weeks. It's insane. And even more than that, in most cases, the only place we don't give them logins is their own website, which is what they bought. Right, so now, all of these processes, what they do is just create more confusion and making the process seem extra complicated in the eyes of the client. All they want is a website, to the point that clients simply refuse to face those processes and either resort to what makes sense to them or just disappear with the promise that they'll get to it. So you know how sometimes you're sending a request for a client, or you're starting to communicate with the client through any means of communication, but then eventually they end up sending you a WhatsApp message, or sending you an email and then sending you a WhatsApp message to check that you got that email from there. And then there's a Facebook message that just makes sure that you got that WhatsApp message over there, right? So all of these things are just happening because of uncertainty and because the client doesn't trust us to actually read that initial communication. So they feel the need to follow us, to follow up on us, you know, through different channels, just to make sure that we got their point. And the reason why this is happening is because they're getting confused on where is the way that we are communicating? Where should I send this message? And so on. Now, why do we even care? You know, maybe dealing with clients like that is how it's done. Maybe it's just that kind of struggle of, you know, this is part of the game. It is part of being in business that when I'm delivering a website, I need to deal with clients, not work with clients, deal with clients, right? Maybe that's how it is. So I'm going to tell you that it's the reason why we want to look into this, and the reason why we can't be receptive about the way things are is because it's costing us a lot of money every month. And throughout my agency, as well as now working with our agencies, I tracked where does the profit go within my own agency as well as the new guys now, and what I would consider a waste of time in my mind. No matter how you frame it, and if you look at it within your business as well, you'll always find that the thing that wastes the most time is client communications. In every single service delivery business, this is the biggest blockage when it comes to creating profit out of a set price of a project. And then what is exactly eroding our profits? So I made a little list here that I noticed some aberrations from reality that is happening on a day-to-day basis within our industry. So projects that start and hang without securing the final deposit on time. So most of the work is done, but then something happened and it got the project stuck at some point. So you never reach that final deposit. Another point is the team is dealing with follow-ups and chasing clients rather than focus on development and design. So in most cases, the reason why the clients didn't respond is because they didn't know, not because they don't want to finish the project. Sometimes there are some clients that are just dragging their feet for this reason or the next. They don't have the money to finish or whatever, but that's really the exception from the case. In most cases, if you need to follow up on a client, it's because you failed to bring them, to give them the structure that they needed so that they know what is happening when and build their own schedule around that. Now, some of these things, the third point here is reopening old projects that lost momentum and require additional attention and update rounds to restart. So some of these things, you know, I see people are handling this, and I did the same thing. I tackled these issues through my proposal. So my proposal said that if you're not replying within a couple of weeks or whatever, then I'm going to send you an invoice for the full amount, you know? And that is kind of fallbacks that we create for ourselves as web designers. But if we really stop to think about this experience, it's insane. Why, if I didn't deliver the project, why would I get paid? You know, if I went to a shop and I looked at a pair of shoes, I tried them on even, you know, and I said to the guy that this is awesome, but then he failed to sell me, or the shoes were not good enough for me to actually buy them. And I walked out the door. Why would there be a contract that I have to buy these pair of shoes? It's not mine still. But the reason why this is happening is because people are focusing on the wrong thing. We're blaming things on the client, and we're trying to get it to a point where the client complies to our insane rules without us actually taking a minute to think about what we're doing and what we're taking them through. So again, the whole point is to get us to do this. That's the whole point. And if we need to invoke a clause that says that the client disappeared for 3 months, obviously this didn't happen. So the problem starts way earlier than when you get to those clauses that you need to enforce. And if you fix it at the core, not only that you're gonna get paid on time, but you're also gonna have a project out there with a happy client, rather than a pissed off client that you're chasing with legal fees to actually pay you for that deposit because they didn't pay the end, you didn't get to the end of the project. Now, I want to kind of put you, before I move on to the next point, I want to put you in the shoes of your client for a minute and trying to look at this from, let me go back to this one. From another service provider that we often use, you know, in our day-to-day. So let's talk about an accountant, for example. This is kind of a boring I don't want to be an accountant. I don't want to deal with this kind of stuff. I want the accountant to deal with everything around the payroll, everything around my expenses, my outgoings, my incomes, but to give me a level of control that I can actually make decisions within my business around this thing, right? So imagine in the time that you start working with a new accountant, the first week, you're going to start with going through a spreadsheet. Just to make sure that you see all of the transactions that happened over the past year. So you start there and you get used to that process and you already have a proper spreadsheet that's working for you. But then a week after, is telling you, you know what? A better way of doing this for now is on Xero. So let's move on to Xero and let's say, okay, fine. So I'm going to go to Xero and I'm going to create an account and start paying on a monthly basis over there and start working through that system. But then he keeps contacting me via email about some of the documents that he's looking for and gonna ask me to send him some stuff via mail, which sometimes they do. What happens is that, first of all, I'm gonna stop using that spreadsheet. I already stopped it after we moved to Xero, which meant that we just abandoned the system that took time for me to understand and for me to actually implement within my day-to-day workflow. Then we stopped using Xero because now we're just communicating via email. So we abandoned another software that took me time to kind of understand. But then eventually he's gonna want to come back to those things. And do you think that I will come back? I will probably ask him to send me reports from Xero. I will probably ask him to tell me what's going on there. Maybe you can give me an export of something, but send it to me via email, because he touched a point that was comfortable for me, and he created a mess all around it so that I will resort to the thing that is most comfortable to me. And if it's not comfortable for me to use Xero or to use spreadsheets, I will resort to email. If that is not the channel that is comfortable, I'll start calling him up. Or I start texting him and I'll start wasting everyone's time because I don't feel that I'm being handled properly. So far we're on the same page. Do you have any questions? Any,
we've had a lot of conversation going on in the chat.
Nice.
Over here, Vito. Where to begin? No. No, a lot of people basically agreeing with it. Aaron had to say, says, I'm not sure if I agree with this entirely. Sometimes we've had clients drop off the radar completely. Should we have filtered them out as potentially bad client from the beginning? Sure, maybe. But should we simply not get paid for the final 50%? I think that's crazy. So that's
right. I agree. But if you look at it, why? In most cases, we brought them to this position. So we have to take that responsibility in there. It's fine. And, I've done the same thing, Aaron, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've done the same thing. Like I literally went to court with a client that didn't want to pay the final deposit for that or that reason. And I knew that I had a contract and I was in the right and I won. But why did it have to get there? And that is what I'm trying to get to the point here. If we can solve the problem before it becomes a problem, then everyone is going to be way happier. Obviously, this client that I had to go to get to court to actually get the money from him is not going to recommend me to anyone. And I don't want to even think about this guy because it ended on such bad terms when it did that then this, I would consider this as a kind of as a wash. But when I really look at this at that process and what led to that point, I got to take full responsibility for this thing.
Yeah, and in the end, you want to avoid those situations regardless of if you end up getting the money or not. It's better off for everybody not to get to that point. Yeah. Eric asks, where do you put content audit, content gathering in your process?
Right. So for our process, we collected the content after we did the prototype. The reason for that is because I know there's two schools to it. There is the content first approach and the way that we're doing this after we have a bit of a structured design. The reason for that is because we already did the discovery with the client. So we already know who is his target audience, what are his business goals, what is the website needs to do. What the website needs to do. So once we create that prototype, or people do sometimes wireframes to do the same process, we basically have no style, no branding, no nothing. We just have black and white placeholder text where we want it. We communicate the layout so that then when they go to the website and they look at that layout, they can actually see that for the hero section on the homepage, we just need one liner on the top. And then we need 3 words for the call to action if we're gonna ask that for them. Then when we scroll further down, we're gonna have those 3 icons, right? Those featured items that usually have like 4 words or 5 words on the title and 1 sentence below. But how do you communicate that if it's not visual on the page? So we tried, you know, with those Word documents. I've done all of those mistakes that I'm talking about here. And I learned I learned everything the hard way, but I learned eventually. So that's how we did it. It's very important to me because we're serving a visual product that I include visual representation at every step of the way so that people can see what I'm talking about instead of me explaining what I need.
Yeah, and George also said that he uses W feedback, and he said that if you're able to show the client that when you're able to show the client the tool, they get to the point where they see how easy it is to give you the content and approval of it, and where they get into to handing off stuff and everything. You can always send subtle reminders through the system when you're waiting on things. And he said it has helped him personally with clients. So yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you, George. Awesome. So yes, because, you know, with our tool, let's say there is this placeholder, all you need to do is just click on it and say, okay, change this to that. Or if we need to ask a specific request from a client, we can click on an image. Also a quick demo later on. But yeah, definitely that's been our process. Anything else, Emily, or shall I continue?
Just a lot of mostly kind of that kind of comment. So Mihal says, you know, clients don't know how to write for the web until you're able to give them those containers, they say. So being able to visualize it, like you say, it just really helps. Yes. And Alex says that having a good collector is a must. I think that was in reference to getting paid though. So that's right. Different than not a content collector.
Yeah, that's so also
I think that's everything. That's true. Also important.
Okay, cool. So I'll move on to this interesting concept that's called eating your clients' complications. This is actually one of our. I made it a core value for WP Feedback when we sat down and decided what are our core values, and this is something that is just a great way of making sure that you're doing all that you can to serve your customers properly. So this concept was actually something that Jeff Bezos is the master of. You know, Jeff Bezos is becoming more and more controversial in the way that he's handling things. But I'm gonna just talk about the way that he ate all of the complications from the process of us wanting to read a book, right? Such a basic and simple thing to cling on to, but he did. And before Jeff Bezos and Amazon kind of did what they did with the Kindle device, this was our experience. If we wanted to buy a book, we needed to drive to a bookstore, find parking, look for that book. It's probably not there, so we need to go to the till and order it from the vendor there. Then I'm gonna go home, and then a few days passed, and I'm gonna go back, drive to that bookstore, find parking again, buy that book, finally drive home, and only then I can sit on the couch and read that book, right? And it's kind of crazy, right? When we think about this now, you know, because right now the process looks like this. I want to buy a book, I search for it, and I read it. And that's it. And basically, Amazon and Bezos, they ate the entire complication of that process. Now, the most interesting thing is what they actually did in order for us to go from here to here. So when Bezos came up with the Kindle idea, there were no digital books out there. The publishers in most cases didn't even have the PDF or the digital version of the book to give to him. So when he called up all of the publishers, because they were already selling millions and millions of books through Amazon, he asked them if they can send him the copy They didn't have it. And they didn't even see the value of creating it at that stage. So he said, all right, fine. That's just another complication that I need to eat. So what he did is he went on and created massive and dozens of facilities, hangars in Asia, in China specifically, that were stocked with copiers, you know, like copy machines, like thousands and thousands of copiers, where he shipped millions of books from the US, from Amazon, over to these facilities where they literally scanned each and single page of these books, just so that they can eat the complication from the publishers that didn't want to provide the digital copies. They couldn't see the value there. Right? So that was just the first step. We need to get the content in there. So he created factories that scanned books at scale, millions and millions of them, right? Then you also need to build the device to read the book, right? But when the first Kindle came out, you know, if you remember, Emily, you remember the days where we used to connect our phone to the computer and then you'd pull up iTunes, it would resync and delete everything and all of that kind of stuff. So it's like, that's what his engineers told him. What's the problem? Let's ship this device out with a cable. People will hook it up. We'll do something on the Amazon website and they can download the book directly to the device. But that's another complication that he wanted to take out of the equation. And Wi-Fi was just starting off. So his engineers told him, you know what? Let's use Wi-Fi. People can actually, they have their own password, so they can just tap in their password to the device and it's connected. Now it's a lot easier. You can even do that, and it connects, right, to Wi-Fi. But still, you need to flip that router, look for that tiny password that is weird, you know, and then type it in and it's wrong. And then you got to look again and all of that kind of stuff. I said, no, I want it to be as simple as possible. I want people to open the box, hold the device and read the book. So they literally sent all of the first Kindles with a roaming SIM card in them that is only connected to Amazon servers, so that as soon as the device left the production line, it already had a connection to the internet without you needing to do anything. That got to a point where when people got that device, they looked for books and they were all there. They thought that the device carried millions of books inside it because they never needed to connect it to anything. It's just like a static device. And then there you have all of the books ever. And of course, they needed to market this to the world, which is not an easy process on its own. So all of this mess just to help us read a book. And what we're talking about here can be applied to every aspect of your business or even your life. And I want to talk to you a little bit about some complications that over time we've gotten used to creating within our industry when it comes to delivering projects. So expecting the client to know how to write website copy. So we kind of raised that a little bit before here today. Why would they know that you, in your mind, there should be 3 icons with one-liners and small bits of text below this for the featured section? And why would they know if you're expecting 2 lines or 4 paragraphs when it comes to the about area, or even how to go about it? What exactly why do we need that one-liner sentence in the top of the website? You know, what is that USP? Maybe unique selling proposition is not even something in their consciousness. It's not their role to know, right? Then expecting a client to know how to provide design feedback. So like, you know, I don't know how to review my car mechanic's work. I have no idea if what he did is right or wrong, or if he did it properly. You know, I have to trust him that he did. But then when we send a request for design feedback, we give the clients full freedom. And then what ends up is that, you know, I don't remember who told me about this yesterday, but someone, I think I was talking to one of our users, and he was telling me a story about a client that they had, and they dropped that client, but somehow that client ended up helping another client with their website, and somehow they tapped back to their design feed. And, you know, I talked to this guy that told me that the logo should not be there and it should be a different color or whatever, you know. Like, who are all of these people? Like, what made them the expert in fixing the design on the website when you are the professional? So that's another thing, that expecting client to know how to provide design feedback, or even listening to what they have to say instead of saying no. I know what you need to do. I can explain to you why not, but no. Right? Sending the client to dozen different online tools. That's another insane complications that we do on a day-to-day basis, expecting them to remember to log into this website when they need to do that process, or that website when they need to do this process. Again, that's not their job. Their job is completely different, and they have loads of complications dealing with their own job, let alone needing to log into all of these different weird apps. Changing the workflow on each step of the build. We talked about it again, like with the accountant. It's just insane if we do this process. Undefined revision rounds. We invite scope creep by doing that, and we invite people to actually tell us a month after that, yeah, but I only used one revision round. I thought we had 3, right? But we already launched the website. Or allowing all means of communications, which is another insane thing that we're trying to do, especially when, when we're small, we don't put a lot of focus on this, and we give people our phone numbers, and we allow them to contact us through WhatsApp and Messenger and all of this kind of stuff when we're freelancers, and even when we have just a small team. That's the natural thing that we do because we really want to close that sale, right? But there's times for selling, and then there's time for managing. So when you sell, use whatever channel the client is on. That's my take on this. If he wants to talk on WhatsApp to get the sale done, we'll talk on WhatsApp. If he wants me to go out, and if it's a good, if it's worth it, I'll drive and I'll meet the guy in their office, and I'll shake hands, and I'll get them to sign a physical paper that I will print out, instead, because I need to close the deal. But as soon as the project starts, I am in charge because they signed that contract and paid me that initial deposit. Then I decide that no more WhatsApp, no more Facebook, no more phones. There is one way to communicate with me, whatever it may be.
I love that list, Vito, because it really puts you in the mindset of the client, because there are all these complications, and it's so valuable in life in general to put yourself in the shoes of the other person that you're having complications with before finding a solution to it. So that's great.
Yeah. And, I just found that we're working on autopilot in most of our lives is basically run on autopilot. And sometimes just taking a couple of minutes to really reflect on why we're doing what we're doing can allow us to identify these aberrations from reality. It's not logical to do this, so I should not be doing it like that. There should be a different way, or a more logical way that will serve me and the other side much, much better, or get me to my result faster or more efficiently.
Absolutely.
Right. So what does work? So there's one thing that I want you guys to kind of take from this thing. And this is just choose one system and stick to it. And that's the most important thing. It doesn't matter if it's going to be, well, of course, it'd be perfect if it would be WP feedback, but it's not about that. It's just about making sure that you are in control. You are the alpha of that relationship with your clients, so that and the way to do this is just one system and stick to it. This is how it's done. If they're steering away from it, you got to push them back, to this. So now, Emily, my wife and I are expecting our first kid. So we're watching loads of Super Nanny.
I forgot about that show. It's a good one.
And it's exactly that, like whenever someone is steering away from the system, you got to be in control of the situation, bring them back to where it is, because that's the only way that they're going to learn that this is how things are done. Right. So one system. Now, what we found is that, before we had WP feedback, what worked best for us was inviting the clients to the office, or nowadays is, sharing a screen, doing some kind of a video call, and having them point at the screen and telling you what's up. I need this. Let's change this. Why did we do this like that? What can I do there? So that the act of pointing, it's very visual, and everyone can relate to that. But what we found is that it ended up being this. The client is literally was sitting on your shoulder and just telling you, Just a little bit more. Yeah. Okay. Just no, go back the other side a little bit more, right? We all know this process. And I love this gift. This is an amazing representation of the situation.
It's perfect that it's a toilet, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, because that's what it ends. It ends up being not about the substance. It becomes being about the fascination of looking at someone at work. You know, it's not. There is a good reason why the videos of people working are attracting so many views and stuff on social media, because we like seeing people in action, especially when we can try and see how the mechanism starts to work. So in most cases, when you give a person that never built a website the ability to see how someone is designing something or working on it, they're very quickly going to try and see what else can be done. And that's not the point. The point is getting to a conclusion because you know what needs to be done. Right, so we took the best from all worlds and created that one tool that will allow us to fix all of these problems once and for all. And that is WP Feedback. It's a communication platform that allows our clients to simply click any element within the actual website, front end or back end, to make a request. Then everything is gonna be gathered into the dashboard so that you can manage all of your communications in an orderly fashion. So before I get to this demo, maybe we'll do like a final round of questions here, Emily, if there's anything else.
Sure, yeah, we didn't have a whole lot of questions come in. We had one come in, but it's been answered. So Kevin was wondering about WP Feedback, if the licenses are per domain, if you're able to switch it, that kind of thing. And he took it upon himself and went to the FAQs for WP Feedback and found the answer. So I think it's all there.
It is one of the frequently asked questions, as we can see here. Yeah, so the answer is yes, you can remove a website and add another website and reutilize your licenses allocations over there. Even though the good way of doing it is once you install it, you want to use that as the system to communicate with the client well after the build. So let me give you a quick demo, and I'll start from this actually. I'm going to take you to the dashboard, and we're going to start from here. Where are we still? Can you still see my screen?
Yep, looks good.
Okay, good. Just going to log into here, and you see I have all my websites in one place. And I'm going to go to this, for example. Right. So the goal within WP Feedback is super simple. Just make it green. That's it. Everything needs to be green. So if I'm looking at this website, that's awesome. That's how a website should look like, right? Now this one needs some work, of course, right? We have loads of tasks here that are still open, walking around and so on. Let's look at one of the experiences here. So let's see this one. Please change this icon. Emily, we have 4 words, right? That's it. 4 words. Let's see what happened within these 4 words. We have a screenshot, an automated screenshot that tells us what area we're talking about. Within the screenshot, the exact area where they clicked is being marked for us right here. We can click this button. So we already know what's going on. We also know that when the guy left this message, it was done on this size of screen, as well as this browser version. So if we're doing any debugging, it's very easy. Instead of sending a request to the client, are you on your phone? Right? This is one of the standard developed traffic replies. Are you on your phone? Or are you on Internet Explorer? Right?
Yeah. What's your browser? Yeah.
Yeah. So that just solves that problem completely. Now let's view the comments, and I can see. Please change this icon. We have a picture here. If I'm going to click this button, it's not only going to take me to that website, but it's going to log me in automatically. Scroll down to where the task is and pop it open for me. Let's wait for this to happen 1 second, and there it is. So this is the icon that needs changing. As simple as that. From here, all I need to do is edit the page and start working. Now, this kind of brings it to what we're talking about, this eating your client's complications. Let's say that we got this message via email. Please change this icon, right? The next message would be, which icon? right? Then coming back, like the icon on the homepage, there's an icon on the homepage. I can see there's a few of them here. Okay, which one, right? Or another way of doing it is, can you please send me a screenshot? How do I send a screenshot? Sure, you need to download an extension and, just download this browser extension and install it on your browser. Then you can take screenshots. What is a browser, right? If I'm looking at the end, we want to solve it for the non-tech savvy people in the world. If they get it, everyone will get it, right? So here, no need for any of this stuff. Now, even if I got all the points, I still need to work on the task. So I'm just looking at one use case here. Please change this icon with these 4 words. If I got it via email, I would go to, you know what, before I go there, let me log out, right? And then I'm gonna go to, that was the sandbox, right. I'll go to this website and I'm first gonna try and see what this guy's talking about. Change this icon, okay, there's a few icons here. Fine, let's log in, right? So I'm gonna log in. It took me to here and let's log in. Oh man, all right, remind me later. Okay, so now I'm here, but I still need to go back to that page. So let me go in here and I'll find that page. We're talking about that home page and we want to edit this. This one is just with Breezy. I did a bit of demo for the Breezy guys, but basically that would be my process, right? Emily, all of this is one button.
Yeah, we've got people saying that is a familiar conversation. I think that you just really like hit home for a lot of people. Like, oh, right. For me too, like going back and forth on design kinds of things, it's like the clearest, like you could write, even a page long email and it's still not as easy as what you showed there, with as many specifications as possible. But yeah, being able to actually do it from the site, that's cool.
Right. So now we saw that like how I got to fixing this thing, and this is I was talking about like how much time is being wasted on this login process. So this is just a nice example of this eating clients' complications, our clients' complications, which is logging into multiple websites every day, and there is a very interesting kind of formula to this, and it's kind of shocking if you really think about this. So let's do this, I'll just pull this one up here. We kind of saw the platform. There's loads more to it. There's the boards where you can manage your workflows from this kind of a Kanban style view, and drag things around to make sure that everything is being done properly. You click through and it's going to open this up. So you can still have this thing. You can track your time, estimate time, which is another great way of increasing your profit just by improving your estimation skills, knowing that something is not going to take that 5 minutes that you think it's going to take, but thinking it's going to take 5 minutes, writing it here for the first time, and then realizing that it's actually going to took me 20 minutes to do this thing. Next time, I will know how to better estimate this, and I'm actually just generated 4 times the profit on this task just by knowing how to properly estimate this beforehand. That's
great. We have a couple questions come in, Vito. One is, does WP Feed, does it work with Elementor?
Yes, of course. Every theme, every page builder in the ecosystem.
Awesome. The other one was, Mihal lost audio for a second. And did you say that the client logs into the app, or they do it just from the website? Yeah.
So and that's a very, very good question. The app is not for the client. The app is only for you and your team. So I can see exactly what me or each one of my team members, as you can see all of them here, I can see what each one of them done. Sheila doesn't do much, but we can jump around and see what each one of the users done when. 5 days ago, he did this. 6 days ago, he did this. So I can have control over my team. But the client should not log in to anything except their own website. That is my take on this thing. And if you don't want to give the client a login to everything, create some kind of a user role that they can do that. By the way, when you start the process, and if it's a staging site, they don't need to log in at all. We have what we call guest mode that allows visitors to actually leave comments on the website, which is great for staging environments and while you're building. So they can already get in the groove of doing this stuff. But let's even see what happens if I ask my client to log in, because that login process is again, one of those aberrations from reality that is just insane, that you got to go to the WP admin, then you land on the dashboard, then it's completely unfamiliar. Then you got to go back and all of that. Very bad experience for the client. So what we recommend is actually writing some kind of a message that says, let's do one, okay?
So is this now from the client's perspective? We had a couple of requests to see it from the client's point of view as well.
Right. So right now I am the webmaster. So I am the web designer. So I'll leave a comment for the client saying, hey, Emily, can you please, send me the text for this title? By the way, this is our feedback. Let's say this is the first message. This is our feedback tool. Click the plus icon on the right to leave me messages, right? Super easy. Now, I'm going to post this up, and I'm going to take this, oh, I don't have the share, to refresh this one second. And then I'll have the share link, which is a new feature that we just released last month. Just wait for the load here. Am I? Yeah. Right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this URL and I'm going to go to incognito. And that's the link that I'm sending my client. From here, what they see is the experience that they landed on the website. This is just a staging environment, very slow kind of a thing, but they landed on this thing and they get this pop-up that is totally brandable. You can put your own logo in here, already giving the client their first awesome experience landing on the website, clicking on this, and I'll choose the client here, log in, and it's just gonna take me to that thing straight away to that task. Hey, Emily, can you please send me the things? So we know exactly what we're talking about now. I am the client. And again, for them, the process was click, click, in.
I was muted. Very cool. Over on Facebook, we have a question. Do you have a tool for clients to mark up a page for changing? So the same way that you can add notes, they can also add their markups here. Yeah.
Everyone that has access to the tool can, and which you can choose from the backend. There's like user roles and stuff. Can click the plus icon and literally walk around the page to choose any element within the website to leave a comment right there. So changing that image, changing this text, changing this icon, changing this this thing, making this white. This part should be white, right? This text, changing the pricing, all of the everything. And also in the backend. So if I'm going to go to the backend, it's a great way of training clients on stuff, right? So this and yeah, for example, we always put this one here. Updates are for us. Don't touch this one.
Smart one.
But also, for example, we can put it just on the new post. So the way that we look at it is we look at the URL, which means that, yeah, you see now we have a little sticker here that tells them how to, this page change, watch this video. This is like a Gutenberg training, short Gutenberg training.
Need a professional website?
Wix is getting in the way.
Let me show you how it is. First,
very cool though. I hadn't even thought of it as using this for kind of training on the back end as well. It's really smart.
Yeah, for every time that there is some kind of a piece of communication that could be applied to this. Now we see clients, because like I preached, the idea is that there is no way to talk to you unless you use something like this. So you don't want to also open emails, also open the, all of these kind of stuff. There should be just one way This is how we communicate around the website. It all comes to your dashboard where you can manage the tasks based on your priority. You can filter the stuff, see what needs attention first, what can wait for later. You know, even if I'm looking at the board section here, I can see what needs doing now. I'm going to click on urgency, for example. These are the critical tasks that we have pending in here. And as I'm working towards them, they all should be either green or moved to lower levels here. And the idea is to just get the whole thing green.
That's awesome. It's gamified, if you will.
Yes, yes, very much so.
I love it. Okay, we are already 8 minutes over time, so we've got to wrap up. We do have a few more questions, but I think we can answer these real quick. So how many back and forth comments can you read on one, plus sign area?
Right. Back and forth comments. You can scroll as much as you want, basically. When it comes to here, you have, it's just like a full-on feed. Let me see if I can find, these are just our testing areas. I don't know if I'm going to find any real long conversations, but you can see that this can scroll forever, basically. And on the site itself, we have a few that had a bunch of messages in them.
But it could go on forever.
Yeah, basically, it will stop at some height, but you can still scroll around this.
Right. And then is there only one client user, or can you talk to separate users on a website?
Right. So if you're looking at this tab here, this is awesome we see loads of people using this for internal communication. So for example, can we change this button, please? The client asked whatever, and then I can mark Alex on the SEO and tell him, sure, just want to make sure that Alex knows,
This is great. Everybody's saying this is much more than I expected. Really great product. Everyone's going to go check it out. So
Awesome.
Great presentation, Vito.
Thank you.
I will just say, to wrap things up, Vito is in our Niche Agency Owners Facebook group. Post any more questions on the live stream there, and I'm sure he'll take some time to go through that and answer any questions you guys have. I can post the link here.
Awesome.
for the Zoomers over here. And feel free to email me if you all have any more questions, and I can get those to Vito, or check out the website. And that's it. So Vito, thank you so much. This has been great. So helpful.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and everybody who came and who's still hanging around 10 minutes late, thank you as well.
Thank you, everyone.
And thank you for all the great engagement, both here in the Zoom webinar and over on Facebook too. So we'll see you guys all for the next one. Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.